guys, back in another video. AHSOKA episode 5. I don't even know where to begin. This is like the 5th time I've tried to record this and I just can't even put it into words how crazy and impactful this episode was and what this means for Star Wars. Spoilers. If you're watching this, you've probably seen the previous episodes, but I don't want to ruin anything. This is going to be like a brief overview. I'm going to make another video talking about the nuances and the deeper meanings of what we saw in this episode. So I'm just going to give you an overview so that this video doesn't last 3 hours. Starting off right where we left off in episode 4, AHSOKA is speaking to Anakin, and he says he's there to finish her training. And that's the choice to live or die. Go back to the real world. Kanan and Hera's son, Jason, is force sensitive, obviously, and he hears something. He hears lightsabers in the water. So they conduct this search looking for AHSOKA. Meanwhile, Anakin and AHSOKA fight. He gets the upper hand. Boom, AHSOKA wakes up in an episode of the Clone Wars. This was very early on, maybe the 1st or 2nd season. She's just in her later season, mid-season attire. She still has the one. She doesn't have the Shoto lightsaber. She still has the one. And Anakin, beautiful in his Clone Wars armor. I mean, I'm not going to get into too much detail, but phenomenal. This is something that us as fans have wanted for, 20 years now? And to see these characters in live action is everything we could have asked for. If you would have asked me what I wanted from this show, they have delivered it 110%. As I said, I'm gonna go into another video about the deeper meaning and what these things mean for our characters, because it's more than just cool Clone Wars in live action. It's more than just cool lightsaber fights. It's so much more nuanced than that. Anyway, we see live action Phase 1 clones for the first time. Episode 2 was digitally rendered, and they look great. They look like the perfect mashup between what we saw in Attack of the Clones and the animated version in the Clone Wars. Awesome, super awesome to see. We see ATTEs, we see Republic gunships. We go to another segment, and AHSOKA is feeling sorry for a wounded clone. And she tells Anakin that we lost so many, and he says it's the price you have to pay. And ultimately she says, well, what if I don't want to fight anymore? And he says, you'll die. And it's spot on with what Anakin would say. And it's just so surreal to see this and it be Hayden and it be in live action. You know, it's like you're watching an episode of the Clone Wars, but in live action, you know, like, it's crazy. Skip forward, Hera, Jason, and Huyang are still looking for AHSOKA. Mon Mothma contacts them, and Hera's in some deep shit about going on this mission. She needs her and AHSOKA to report back, and Hera's looking at being demoted. She completely ignores this in pursuit for AHSOKA, obviously, she's a great friend. Chopper and Jason say we gotta get low, and we skip forward to AHSOKA and Anakin, and we're in season 7 of the Clone Wars, the Siege of Mandalore. Choreography was great. I mean, I'm blown away at this girl's performance. Anakin says, I don't remember this battle, and she says, because we had already parted ways. This is the Siege of Mandalore. He says that she is a legacy. Everything has been passed down to her. And she says it's a death and destruction, pretty much. And he says, no, you're more than that, just like I am. And she says, you're right. You're more dangerous and powerful than anyone ever knew. And then we see Vader. So Vader confronts AHSOKA and they fight. And he says, you've learned nothing. To push past all the emotional meaning behind this scene, we pretty much see that Ahsoka chooses to live. And because of this, because of Anakin, I guess, stopping her from dying in this realm that maybe where Jedi go when they're in between, he saves her. Forgive me, it's just so hard to put this into words because this isn't just a, start to finish episode. The plot just doesn't get driven forward. This is Ahsoka finding peace with Anakin. Anakin's already at peace with himself. He fulfilled his destiny. He was the chosen one. But for her, I believe this is Ahsoka realizing that, the circle is now complete, I believe. Anakin gave her his final lesson, and that was saving her life. As beautiful as that is, it's there. Ahsoka's rescued. We see her without her tiara / headpiece thing, and it just threw me off because I don't think we've ever seen her like that. So it felt like, when you take your collar off your dog and they look naked, it was weird. Apparently she'd been asleep for a day. She finds out that Sabine has left with Morgan Elsbeth and Balin and them, and the map is destroyed. So we come to the conclusion that she's going to use the Purgle to find them. And this is where Ahsoka is reborn, I believe. This is Ahsoka the White, as people like to say. She takes her T6 shuttle, uses the Force to speak to one of the Purgle, climbs up in its mouth, and they disappear into hyperspace. The New Republic shows up to get them, and Carson Teva stalls them, and you see the Purgle leaving the planet, and they say, "You better get out of the way." And yeah, the episode ends like that. Ahsoka's on her way to find Sabine, and with hope that these space whales are gonna get her there. This is, I guess you could say, a brief overview. But anyway, guys, that's my rough review of this episode. As I said earlier, this is everything we could have asked for. This is Dave Filoni honoring George Lucas and his vision for Star Wars, and I could not be more pleased. Give this man the reins, give him, full control of every Star Wars project after this. This is the best Star Wars we've seen since Disney bought it. Hands down, this could change everything. And I'm like a kid in a candy store. I'm so beyond happy that this is what it is, I had expectations. I knew Ahsoka was gonna be good. There was a lot riding on the line. I didn't know this was gonna be this good, And I'm so glad that they didn't go to Mustafar like the rumors said. I'm so glad we didn't see a Mustafar flashback. I'm so glad Dave didn't mess with anything George did. That to me speaks volumes of the respect he has for George. And it just makes my heart warm.